COVID-19 has created some major challenges for parents. One of them is trying to figure out when to take their kids to the doctor. Let's talk about that right now with Dr. Lauren Crosby, a pediatrician at Lapeer Pediatrics in Beverly Hills. She's also the spokeswoman for the American Academy of Pediatrics, and she's right here in the screen next to me. Thank you so much for taking some time, Dr. Crosby. This is a confusing time to be a parent. I'm amongst the realm of the parents. We have a 2-year-old, and we've actually been talking about this at home. When should we take her in for our next round of vaccines? We feel like maybe we should hold her at home for as long as possible. But what would you say to parents out there about this?
Yeah, I mean, we've had to deal with this with our practice now for a while, and the Academy of Pediatrics, American Academy of Pediatrics, recommends that kids under 2 actually maintain their vaccination schedule as best as possible. So we are seeing kids only in our office, and we're seeing kids that are under age 2, even the 2-year-olds, if they need some vaccines, that maybe if they're missing anything, we'll catch them up. We do recommend it. It's important to get those basic first set in. If kids, let's say all of a sudden the world opens up and then we have a whole bunch of kids that are unvaccinated all getting together, we could have even more problems. So it's recommended to do it. We are staggering people. We're only having a couple doctors there. We're also screening everybody, so they get their temperature taken when they come in. They need to wear a mask, not kids under age 2, but age 2 and up. If they will, we do recommend a mask. And we make sure that the waiting room is empty. The office we're keeping pretty empty, no sick kids.
Dr. Crosby,
so
on the other, and on the other side of 2, for routine checkups, I mean, parents are going to feel like maybe we just shouldn't take them in right now. Do you recommend that, or should they still come in for those checkups?
So we are delaying the routine vaccine, the checkups that don't have to have a vaccine right now. So there are kids like 7, 8, 9-year-olds often are already all caught up, and even some 6-year-olds. So we are asking them to wait, and we're going to probably then have a lot of them coming in sooner. But we are trying to get some of those done even during these video visits that we call telehealth or telemedicine video visits, where we can at least have the parents do a height for us and a weight for us. And we can put it into their growth charts and talk about it and go over a lot of other questions and talk about development and sleep and diet, nutrition, and any other concerns they have, academic, behavioral. So we are trying to do those visits that way.
That makes sense. And, we're all tracking the development of this virus, its transmittability. We're hearing right now, there's this study that was published today from JAMA Pediatrics that said, essentially confirmed what we've been thinking, that young children tend to have mild symptoms and they clear up within 2 weeks. But we also heard in that same study, there's an infant that was in the ICU, one that was just a few weeks, caught it from their mother, and had some real issues around that. So based on this new study and what you know about the virus, what kind of advice would you give us as far as children and coronavirus?
Well, I think that what just came out, the information is actually pretty consistent with what we already know from the CDC, that overall the percentage of children that actually come down with overt coronavirus, because we do think kids probably do carry it and may not even get sick, is relatively low. And so, but of the kids who do come down with it, there is a certain percentage that can get very sick. And the sickest kids are the kids under a year of age. There's a certain percentage of those, they have a higher risk overall. Even though they're a smaller part of the population, they do have a higher risk before their first birthday of actually getting very sick.
And Dr. Crosby, in our last moment together, there has been this movement, that has been anti-vaccine it's been gaining momentum on the internet for some decades now, ever since that paper in '98. But when we look at this, knowing that a vaccine is probably a thing that's going to ultimately get us out of this pandemic, do you see, or are you even seeing perhaps a shift in parents' attitudes towards vaccines in the future?
I think it's too soon to say. I think that the people who are pro-vaccine now will still be that way, and I think those that are anti are also not going to want this vaccine. My gut is it's not going to change their mind. And I think that the only time it really tends to is when it actually hits home and a tragedy sadly occurs to one of their family members, that sometimes then these things start to make sense.
It's so true, Dr. Crosby. As you mentioned, there's so many variables, there's so many answers we still don't know, but you gave us a lot of really good and practical advice today, and we're going to have a lot more questions for you in the future. So thanks for taking some time today, and we'll talk again.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.